When faced with an oncoming car to the left and a bicyclist to the right, you should A. Pull onto the shoulder. B. Split the difference. C. Let the car pass and then pass the bike. D. Pass the bike quickly. C. Let the car pass and then pass the bike. When there is more than one potential hazard on the road, you should ensure that you only have to deal with one of them at a time. For example, when there is a bicyclist on the right that you want to pass and an oncoming car to the left, you should not try to squeeze between both at the same time. Instead, let the oncoming car pass, and then pass the bicyclist. When a stop is required at an intersection and no markings appear to indicate a stop line or crosswalk, a driver A. is not required to stop. B. is required to slow down to make sure crossing traffic is clear. C. should stop only at a place where they can see at least 200 feet on either side, even if they have to enter the intersecting roadway. D. should stop where they have a clear view of approaching traffic before they enter the intersecting roadway. If you become stranded in a snowstorm, the best thing to do is to A. get out of the car and go for help. B. lay down in your car and go to sleep. C. walk into the road and get the attention of other drivers. D. stay in the car, as you are most likely to be found when you stay in your vehicle. D. stay in the car, as you are most likely to be found when you stay in your vehicle. If you become stranded in a snowstorm, the best thing to do is stay in your car and wait for help. You are most likely to be found if you don't leave your vehicle. Additionally, it may be unsafe to walk around outside in a snowstorm. Road rage and aggressive driving may be reduced by A. allowing extra travel time. B. obeying posted speed limits. C. using proper turn signals. D. all of the above. D. all of the above. As an increasing number of drivers populate the roadways, road rage becomes more prevalent. To help prevent road rage, a driver should use proper turn signals, obey posted speed limits, and allow plenty of travel time.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
If you begin to feel tired while driving, the best thing to do is to A. get some coffee. B. open your window. C. stop driving. D. turn on the radio. C. stop driving. Being fatigued while driving is similar in danger to driving under the influence of alcohol. If you begin to feel tired while driving, the best thing to do is to stop driving. Talking or texting on a cell phone while driving will not significantly increase your chances being involved in a crash. A. true. B. false. B. false. Using a phone while driving is a distraction that increases your risk of being involved in a crash. You are coming to an intersection with a flashing yellow light. You should A. stop and wait for the light to change. B. make a U-turn because the intersection is closed. C. drive carefully through the intersection. D. prepare to stop, the light is about to turn red. C. drive carefully through the intersection. A flashing yellow light means that you should proceed through the intersection slowly and with caution. Scan your eyes across traffic in both directions. If you come to a roadway covered in water, you should A. Drive until you think the water is too deep. B. Drive through, as it is unlikely the standing water will become too deep. C. Turn around and find another way to go. D. Walk out into the water to determine its depth. C. Turn around and find another way to go. If you come to a roadway that is flooded, turn around and find another way to go. Do not attempt to drive through the water. It is impossible to determine the depth or current and your vehicle could become submerged or swept away. You should be cautious when passing a bicycle because A. You are moving faster than the bicycle. B. The bicycle always has the right of way. C. Oncoming traffic may not see you pull out to pass the bicycle. D. The cyclist may have to swerve into traffic to avoid an object on the road. D. The cyclist may have to swerve into traffic to avoid an object on the road. You should always be cautious when passing a bicycle because the cyclist may have to swerve into traffic to avoid an object on the road. Always be particularly careful when driving near bicyclists. This green arrow on a lane use control signal means A. You may use this lane. B. No traffic is allowed in this lane. C. You have the right of way. D. You must merge into this lane. A. You may use this lane. A steady downward green arrow over a traffic lane means you may use the lane indicated. When approaching a roundabout, you should always A. Increase your speed. B. Maintain your speed. C. Come to a complete stop. D. Decrease your speed. D. Decrease your speed. When approaching a roundabout, slow down. A roundabout is designed to be driven at a low speed. While driving, your wheels slip off the edge of the road. You should A. Jerk the steering wheel to force the vehicle back onto the pavement. B. Speed up and steer back onto the pavement gradually. C. Slam on your brakes and stop. D. Slow down by gently using the brakes. Turn the steering wheel to return to the pavement at a safe speed. D. Slow down by gently using the brakes. Turn the steering wheel to return to the pavement at a safe speed. If your vehicle begins to leave the road, continue to drive with the wheels off the pavement and reduce your speed by gently applying the brakes. When at a safe speed, turn the steering wheel to return to the pavement. Do not attempt to force your vehicle back onto the pavement by sharply turning the steering wheel. To prepare for anything coming up on the road ahead, you should A. Continually scan the entire road and all roadsides. B. Stare straight ahead at all times. C. Drive with your left foot resting lightly on the brake pedal. D. Maintain focus toward the middle of the road. A. Continually scan the entire road and all roadsides. Your ability to handle dangerous traffic situations depends largely on searching for and identifying problems before meeting them. Looking far ahead of your vehicle does not mean you should simply stare at the center of the road. You need to continually scan the entire road, including the sides of the road. If two drivers arrive at the same time to a four-way intersection controlled by stop signs. A. The driver on the right has the right of way. B. The driver on the left has the right of way. C. One driver may continue driving without stopping. D. One driver should honk to indicate that they are giving up the right of way. A. The driver on the right has the right of way. Yield the right of way to the driver on your right at a four-way intersection if you both arrive to the intersection at the same time. You may then proceed when it is safe to do so. You may drive across a dashed white line. A. At any time. B. Only during daylight hours. C. When it is safe to change lanes. D. Only when passing a motorcycle. C. When it is safe to change lanes. Traffic lanes moving in the same direction are separated by broken white lines. You may cross over dashed lines to pass, if it is safe to do so. Consuming which of the following substances may impair your ability to drive safely and may result in an arrest for driving under the influence of intoxicants DUII? A. Beer, wine, and other liquor. B. Controlled substances, such as illegal drugs or prescription medicines. C. Inhalants, such as glue or paint. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. A wide variety of intoxicants can impair your ability to drive. These include all types of alcoholic beverages, illegal drugs, inhalants, and many legal medications, both prescription and over-the-counter. If another car is in danger of hitting you, you should: A. Sound your horn. B. Wave your arms. C. Use your emergency lights. D. Flash your headlights. A. Sound your horn. Your horn should be used to warn other drivers or pedestrians in situations where they may not see you. For example, if you think another driver is about to hit you, you should sound your horn. This sign means: A. Stop. B. No U-turn. C. Yield. D. Do not enter. If you are driving so slowly that traffic is backing up behind you, you should: A. Decrease your speed. B. Pull off the right side of the road and let traffic pass. C. Not let the other cars pass your vehicle. D. Use your four-way flashers. B. Pull off the right side of the road and let traffic pass. Driving more slowly than the flow of traffic can be hazardous. If you are on a two-lane, two-way road and driving so slowly that traffic is backing up behind you, you are required to pull off the road and let the other vehicles pass. Only drive significantly under the speed limit when conditions require it. Which of the following statements is true? A. Signal at least 100 feet before changing lanes to pass and ensure there is no oncoming traffic. B. Use your mirrors and look over your left shoulder to check your blind spot when passing to the left. C. When passing, wait until you can see both headlights of the passed car in your rearview mirror before returning to your original lane. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. When passing, you must always signal at least 100 feet in advance of your lane change. Always check behind you in your mirrors and look over your shoulder to check your blind spot. Wait until you can see both headlights of the passed car in your rearview mirror before returning to your original lane. A solid white line down the center of a two-lane road indicates: A. Lanes are moving in opposite directions and drivers are not permitted to pass. B. Lanes are moving in opposite directions and drivers are permitted to pass when it is safe to do so. C. Lanes are moving in the same direction and drivers are not permitted to pass. D. Lanes are moving in the same direction and drivers are permitted to pass when it is safe to do so. C. Lanes are moving in the same direction and drivers are not permitted to pass. White lines are used to separate traffic moving in the same direction. Solid lines indicate that drivers are not permitted to pass. Round signs indicate A. No passing zones. B. School zones. C. Upcoming railroad crossings. D. Hospitals. C. Upcoming railroad crossings. Round signs warn drivers of an upcoming railroad crossing area. Drivers should use extra caution when approaching a railroad crossing. Drivers are always required to stop for a stopped school bus when driving on a two-lane road. A. True. B. False. A. True. Drivers are always required to stop for a stopped school bus when driving on a two-lane road, regardless of their direction of travel. You should exercise caution when driving near children. When passing a row of parked vehicles, you should A. Be prepared for a person or vehicle to unexpectedly enter your lane. B. Expect all other drivers and pedestrians to respect your right-of-way. C. Honk to alert drivers and pedestrians to your presence. D. Increase your speed to avoid any pedestrians. A. Be prepared for a person or vehicle to unexpectedly enter your lane. Keep a space between yourself and parked vehicles. A person may step out of a parked vehicle or out from between the parked vehicles. A driver in a parked vehicle may not see you and may start to pull out suddenly. You come to an intersection with a flashing red light. You must A. Slow down and drive carefully through the intersection. B. Turn either right or left, since the road is blocked ahead. C. Stop at the intersection and wait for a flashing green light. D. Stop at the intersection, then proceed as traffic allows. D. Stop at the intersection, then proceed as traffic allows. A flashing red light means that you must come to a full stop, and then proceed when the way is clear. When riding in a vehicle, small children A. May be safely held by a strong adult. B. Will be safe if they are standing on the floor in the back of the vehicle. C. Will not be hurt in an accident because they are small. D. Must never be allowed to ride while standing in the vehicle. D. Must never be allowed to ride while standing in the vehicle. Special child seats are available for children who are too small to wear regular safety belts. No person is strong enough to safely hold onto a child of any size during an accident or sudden stop. Never allow a child to ride in a vehicle unless they are properly fastened into a seat. When parallel parking, you must park within fill in the blank inches of the curb. A. 10. B. 12. C. 18. D. 24. C. 18. When parallel parking your vehicle, your wheels should be within 18 inches of the curb. Only park where you will not be disruptive to traffic and where drivers can clearly see your vehicle from every direction. An intersection has no traffic signs or signals. You arrive at the same time as a vehicle to your right. You should A. Speed up and get through the intersection. B. Slow down and yield to the vehicle on your right. C. Drive into the intersection and make the other vehicle stop. D. Honk your horn and drive through the intersection. B. Slow down and yield to the vehicle on your right. When two vehicles arrive to an uncontrolled intersection at the same time, the vehicle on the right has the right of way. Once the vehicle on the right has safely passed through the intersection, the other driver may proceed. Which of the following does not happen after drinking? A. Your reflexes and reaction time slow down. B. Your judgment of speed and distance is distorted. C. You are less alert. D. You calm down and can concentrate better. D. You calm down and can concentrate better. Alcohol reduces your reaction time, reduces your ability to see clearly, changes your judgment of speed and distances, reduces your ability to recover from the glare of headlights, and often reduces your inhibitions and makes you more likely to take risks. A speed restriction sign. A. May be ignored in rainy, snowy, or icy conditions. B. Has a triangular shape. C. Is blue with black lettering. D. Shows a recommended speed for a curve or turn. D. Shows a recommended speed for a curve or turn. Curve and turn warning signs often have attached advisory speed signs that show a recommended driving speed for drivers in the curves and turns. Although a driver may feel comfortable driving at a higher speed in fair weather, they should never do so under rainy, snowy, or icy conditions. Lanes of traffic moving in the same direction are divided by. Fill in the blank. Lines. A. Yellow. B. White. C. Red. D. Black. B. White. Solid white lines are used to separate lanes traveling in the same direction as well as to mark the right edge of the road. Broken white lines separate lanes traveling in the same direction and may be crossed to pass. Yellow lines separate lanes of traffic moving in opposite directions. You are driving on a highway divided by two solid yellow lines. You may A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. B. Cross these lines to pass other vehicles, but only if there is no oncoming traffic. C. Cross these lines under no circumstances. D. Cross these lines only to make a U-turn. A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. Double solid yellow lines are used to mark roadways where passing is prohibited from both directions. You may cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. This sign means A. No U-turn. B. No left turn. C. No right turn. D. No turning. When approaching a railroad crossing that has no warning signals such as electric flashing lights or gates, a driver should slow down, look, and listen. A. True. B. False. A. True. If a railroad crossing has no warning devices or only a crossbuck sign, you should slow down, look in both directions of the track, and listen for a train or railroad equipment. Only proceed with caution across the tracks when it is safe to do so. Car drivers should know that large trucks A. Have large blind spots. B. Can stop more quickly than passenger vehicles. C. Do not need more room to maneuver than passenger vehicles. D. All of the above. A. Have large blind spots. A large truck has large blind spots to the front, sides, and rear of the vehicle. Avoid lingering in these areas. Because of their larger size and weight, Trucks require more room to maneuver and stop than passenger vehicles. When you drive through an area where children are playing, you should expect them: A. To know when it is safe to cross the street. B. To stop at the curb before crossing the street. C. To run out in front of you without looking. D. Not to cross the street unless they are with an adult. C. To run out in front of you without looking. You should always reduce your speed and use extra caution when children are in the vicinity. They may fail to understand the danger and may run out in front of you without looking. This road sign means: A. Steep grade ahead. B. Pedestrian crossing ahead. C. Low ground railroad crossing. D. Low clearance. You may continue carefully through an intersection with a yellow light if: A. There is an emergency vehicle crossing your lane. B. There are pedestrians crossing. C. You are turning right. D. You are already within the intersection when the light changes to yellow. D. You are already within the intersection when the light changes to yellow. If a steady yellow light appears when you are already within an intersection, you should continue through the intersection carefully. When an authorized vehicle using its sirens and flashing lights approaches a vehicle, the driver should pull to the right-hand edge of the roadway and wait for the emergency vehicle to pass. A. True. B. False. A. True. When being approached by an emergency vehicle that is using its lights and/or sirens, you must immediately pull to the right side of the road and allow it to pass. This is a fill in the blank sign. A. Stop. B. Wrong way. C. Yield. D. Do not enter. C. Yield. This triangular sign is a yield sign. When you see this sign, you must slow down to check for traffic and yield the right of way to pedestrians and approaching cross traffic. Stop only if it is necessary to do so. This road sign means: A. The road ahead turns sharply right, then left. B. The road ahead turns sharply left, then right. C. The road ahead curves to the left. D. Construction ahead. A. The road ahead turns sharply right, then left. This sign indicates that the road ahead will turn sharply to the right and then to the left. If a traffic light shows both a red light and a green arrow, a driver may not turn in the direction of the arrow until the red light has changed. A. True. B. False. B. False. After yielding the right of way to traffic within an intersection or crosswalk, a driver may go in the direction a green arrow is pointing, regardless of other lights present. Which of the following about winter driving is not true? A. Winter is the most difficult driving season. B. Checking your vehicle's antifreeze and windshield washer fluid levels is especially important during the winter. C. Using cruise control in winter weather is a safe thing to do. D. It is best to use snow tires on your vehicle. C. Using cruise control in winter weather is a safe thing to do. You should not use cruise control on snow, in rain, in fog, or under similar hazardous conditions. Winter is the most difficult driving season and requires extra caution from drivers. It is important to consistently check your antifreeze and windshield washer fluid levels. Using snow tires can increase a vehicle's traction on the surface of slippery roads. This road sign means A. The left lane is reserved for vehicles with a specific number of occupants. B. Specific turning movements are allowed from specific lanes. C. Do not enter. D. Drivers in both lanes are responsible for merging smoothly. A. The left lane is reserved for vehicles with a specific number of occupants. This sign marks a high occupancy vehicle (HOV) lane. HOV lanes are reserved for use by buses and vehicles with a driver and one or more passengers, as indicated on the sign. Seat belts are most effective when they are worn by A. The person driving the car. B. Passengers when they are on a long drive. C. All occupants of a car being driven on an expressway. D. All occupants of a car every time the car is driven. D. All occupants of a car every time the car is driven. When you drive, make sure each person in your vehicle wears a seat belt. In the event of a crash, a person without a seat belt becomes a flying object and a danger to each person in the vehicle. If you experience a tire blowout, A. Take your foot off the gas. B. Do not immediately use your brakes. C. Gradually slow down and pull off the side of the road. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. If you experience a tire blowout, take your foot off the gas pedal and do not immediately apply the brakes. Gradually slow down before gently applying the brakes and pulling off the side of the road. You cannot pass safely on a two-way, two-lane street unless A. You are able to clearly see the road ahead. B. You can return to your lane before meeting oncoming traffic. C. Your vehicle is capable of the speed necessary to pass. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You cannot pass safely when driving on a two-way, two-lane street unless you can clearly see the road ahead, you can return to your lane before meeting oncoming traffic, and your vehicle is capable of the speed necessary to pass. Do not pass where it is illegal and unsafe to do so. Motorists are not required to yield to pedestrians if they are walking against the traffic light. A. True. B. False. B. False. You must always yield the right of way to pedestrians. Be aware of the possibility that pedestrians may misjudge traffic signals and cross against a light. You are driving when it starts to sleet or snow. You should A. Keep your windshield and mirrors clear. B. Allow additional distance between your vehicle and the vehicles that you are following. C. Approach all vehicles with caution. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. In snowy weather, keep your windshield and mirrors clear. Increase your following distance when driving in wet and cold weather because a slippery road surface will increase the distance needed for your vehicle to stop. As you near an intersection, the traffic light changes from green to yellow. Your best action is to A. Speed up to beat the red light. B. Apply the brakes sharply to stop. C. Be prepared to stop in the center of the intersection. D. Be prepared to stop before the intersection. D. Be prepared to stop before the intersection. A steady yellow traffic light indicates that the light will soon change to red. You should be prepared to stop for the red light, if it is safe to do so.